what do you think is the most important factor if you were to pin down on one thing?
In some ways, we are living in the best of times to create value, and we are living in the worst of times.
I think increasingly the Gen Zs care more for flexibility than what they get paid. Do you feel a place from where they build really matters today?
Hell yeah, it matters. I'll tell you why. I think the right solution would be to use AI to personalize and hyper-personalize. I see a world where sales reps that were doing 40 calls a week do only 5 calls a week, but 5 best calls where all of them convert.
Wonderful. Given that I think the next 2-3 years there's going to be a shift in how GTM was approached by the masses, right? Mm-hmm. So this will have to evolve, and it's a market play, right? So somewhere it has to start, and I think you would agree with me, companies have started to realize that spray and pray is no longer working. We need to get personalized, and I think you rightly put, personalization is not just about tweaking the content, right, but a step back. Should we even approach someone? Is it the right time?
Yeah,
the
totally.
right individual? That's where personalization begins. It's just not tweaking the content. But as a follow-up to that, do you see the buying cycles and the way the buying decisions happening? Let's just break it to 3 segments: enterprise, mid, and smaller companies. All have their buying needs. All buy softwares. All buy licenses. My question is, if going into next 5 years, workspaces kind of transition into, let's say, decentralized workspaces. And
right,
what I'm hinting at is we kind of saw that during the pandemic. Overnight, most companies had to move remote.
Yeah.
And some are trying to bring back. It's still not back to the levels that it used to be pre-pandemic, right? So we still have some of the most prime real estate. You take San Francisco, you take New York, you take Miami, you take the rest of the world, Bangalore. It's all vacant. That's because I think increasingly the Gen Zs, whether we like it or not, care more for flexibility than what they get paid.
Yeah.
So will that mean from a enterprise level seat negotiation and license purchase change any dynamics of buying few thousand seats at once, or do you see this evolving into users making their purchase decisions? If true sense of consumerization in B2B should happen, how do you see this? And I do have a follow-up question after that.
Okay, no, I think that's a very interesting question you asked, Sharan. I think there are 2 or 3 questions embedded into it, so let me see if I can respond. There are multiple trends that all kind of support your assertion. So clearly there's decentralization going on, democratization. There is downward pressure on premium SaaS vendors, because where in a category there used to be 50 vendors, there's going to be 500, because AI is just making it easy to build more tools. And now how they're going to compete with each other, because all their products will look the same, right? So they're going to compete on pricing. So because existing vendors, they're premium, they'll charge high subscription fee. A new vendor comes in and says, only pay me on outcome or success, right? Now imagine the pressure on these premium vendors, right? Now the premium vendors, and this is what you alluded to, were selling 10,000 seat license or 100 seat license, or they were interested in $1 million deals, right? Whereas these new vendors, that they're like 2 kids and a laptop, and they show up in the market with same product. Right. They have no overhead, no expense. They're like, just pay me when you have success. That to pay me 1/10 of what you pay these guys, right? That'll be immensely disruptive, and that'll completely change the market. It'll destroy billion-dollar companies and market cap of like it will. I think SaaS will look so different, but also there will be massive decentralization of market power from like winner take all, which is where we were, to like so winner take all. There are 2 or 3 companies that have 80% market share. I think where we'll head is there will be 40 companies that have 80% market share.
Yep.
Right? So, and so that distribution or decentralization, we're going to see in SaaS. But just a fun fact, and you and I were talking about it, I think this decentralization is a phenomena that's happening everywhere. And we were talking about this earlier. I think we'll see this even in, not just at the places we work, where people don't work together, they've gotten decentralized, but also like metros. Metros was a phenomena where everybody came together, just like in one office space in one city,
Right.
to collaborate and aggregate. And now they're all going back outside of metro. So real estate prices will drop and tier 2 cities will do well. Anyway, we are kind of...
No, I think that's important as well, right? So I think, and I'll tell you why. I think at some point, all of us in our career, we want directional inputs, right? And I've been fortunate enough to have a mentor like you. In a decade plus I've known you, and I've kind of always reached out to you when I needed that. But I think the people watching us, some want to grow in their career and excel in the companies that they're working for. Some probably, aspirational, want to get into an entrepreneurial journey. Some trying to build companies, looking for directions. So, 2 follow-up questions. Do you feel a place from where the build really matters today? Or have we reached a point that it is really global enough that you still have access to things that you have out of San Francisco? It doesn't matter, you can build from New York or Bangalore or Philippines or Dubai, provided they figure a way of running an optimized near shore or local business. One, and the reason it's important is you spoke about migration from metros, or fewer will want to migrate to metros, and then tier 2 cities will have decently high concentration, which means employment creation in tier 2 cities and economic activities will
so let me address this before you get to second, because I'll forget. We are undergoing a profound time of transition, all kinds of transition, not just work, personal, maybe even health, economy. There's like geopolitical. There are a lot of institutions that are getting unwinded. So the future successes will come from companies. Now look at 50 years ago. The successes came from where people assemble around universities or metros to do innovation.
Yeah.
Right? Future successes will come. That was like the bundling of good people and ideas and infrastructure around a common cause, right?
Yeah.
The future successes will come from unbundling of all of this, because it will come from companies that learn how to run frugally. Now your question was, does it matter which city you built in? Hell yeah, it matters. I'll tell you why. San Francisco, it won in the last generation because that was a place where the best minds collaborated. But also it's very expensive to live in San Francisco. If you are building a frugal company, I don't think San Francisco is the right place to build. And I am there. And so, but then let's be honest, it's hard for me to peel myself out. But if somebody is building this afresh, I'll say, keep in mind, build from a territory where you can have immensely low cost overhead or cost structure. And why this is so important? It's because the companies that will disrupt traditional SaaS are going to be the companies that will have a lot of elbow room, a lot of pricing power to do success-based pricing. How can, say Workday, how can they do success-based pricing, right? They can. They have buildings in every metro cities. They have thousands of very well-paid employees, or probably hundreds of thousands, if not tens. Now, if another startup shows up with zero overhead, they are not only distributed, they are in locations with low wages, they can come to market and say, don't pay us,
Right.
and we'll give you same functionalities, and just pay us on success.
Right.
I think that's what will constitute the winners versus losers. So location will matter.
So what you're saying is, if you're bleeding bad, you can't really run fast. So focus on keeping yourself intact so you can run as fast as you can or as slow as you can, but you can at least run.
Right. Let's complete this loop because we have spoken about different things, and economy and innovation and migration of people. And there's one thing that's missing that completes it, and that is the investors and VCs.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because Bay Area, why is it so great? Because investors were a big part of the fixture, right? Now, investors love winner-take-all model. When they invest a lot of money in one, the notion is that this extra capital will ensure that this one company can charge a premium over everybody else.
Right.
So let's deploy 100 million into one or two companies and they can own the market. That's like a winner-take-all model.
Right.
That is how, now in future, if winner-take-all model will not work and the biggest companies will get disrupted by the smallest competitors just by success or just by pricing innovation, right? Why would VCs invest, right? And this centralization around San Francisco type territory, VCs played a big role and winner-take-all models played a big role. I think there is still room for similar investments around AI, like fundamental AI, and we're seeing all these cursors and lovables, and they're raising hundreds of millions, just like the heyday of the SaaS investments, right? But beyond that, I think the VC investments will drop dramatically for non-AI ventures. And then I think those are the ones where we'll see more and more startups from even remote territories or low-cost territories suddenly spin up and capture a significant part of the market.
So do you feel the cost of building today or the cost of access to AI is relatively less because mostly these are VC backed? In some way VCs are kind of taking the burden of the cost? Yes or no? How do you see that? Yeah,
the cost of, it's bizarre how much AI is being subsidized right now. It's being subsidized across the cross section of value system, right? It's like AWS or GCP subsidizing it. There's OpenAI is subsidizing it. There are tools like Cursor or Replit, they're subsidizing. So everybody's subsidizing, and you're right, the VCs are paying for it, but they are looking at it as the acquisition, cost of acquisition. It will rise. But I don't think it'll rise in next 12 months. It'll probably be, I feel like it's longer. And we saw that in SaaS, right? We saw that, we've seen it during the internet days. My suspicion is another 2 to 3 years before the real costs start hitting. But the nature of AI is such that by that time, it'll also get more optimal. So fundamentally, the cost of AI keeps dropping. The models keep getting better. The chips are getting better from NVIDIA. It's a moving, rapidly evolving space. But your hunch is right. The VCs are funding it.
So for startups, right, early stage startups, let me say that, what do you think is the most important factor if you were to pin down on one thing? Multiple things that founders juggle with, right? Product, and GTM, and branding, and this FOMO of missing out almost in everything.
Right.
And I think you and I have kind of spoken about it, this profitability, this getting started and moving in.
Yeah.
But if maybe the top 2 or top 3 things in an order, and why you think the early stage founders must you can probably be a little more relaxed on some of these areas, but these one or two areas there's no compromise. That's a must that you must focus on, and these are fundamentals for a business.
Right. Let me take a stab at it, and let me know if it making sense. In some ways, we are living in the best of times to create value, and we are living in the worst of times, because everything we did earlier, nothing works. Everybody is starting afresh. All our experiences are worth nothing, because nobody is experienced into building AI ventures. So if you are graduating from a college, or if you have 40 years experience, you are both at the starting line, right? So that's one, a realization, and this could be such a great opportunity for somebody starting out. These are the times of non-linear gains, right? So I would say if somebody is starting a venture, stay away from Me Too, stay away from copying something that's out there. And I think it's important to think about the economics of what you're building, right? So earlier, the way ventures were built in the last 20 years, that is not how ventures will be built in the next 20 years. So in the last 20 years, you build the technology, and then pricing was an afterthought. That was the last thing you did. First, you built a team, you thought about marketing and sales, and then you thought, okay, what is the price? I think in future, you first think about price, because price is not seat price anymore. Right. You have to understand what price. Is it agent-based pricing? Is it outcome? Is it usage?
Right. And
then accordingly, you have to bill. So you have to think about competition, because no matter what you bill, everybody will copy it.
Right.
Within days, right?
Right.
So now, first you have to think about the economy and the value you create. Then you have to build how you're going to differentiate when everybody copies everything you build. Right. So then you have to think about creating a tribe or a brand or a bunch of customers or users that will be loyal. Now, can you create a moat around them through, say, proprietary data or some kind of content or branding? That moat, because if you go to a store and you have 5 consumer products, they're all exactly the same, even built in the same factory.
Right.
And yet you pick up one, right? Why? Because it's colorful packaging, or somehow the branding is better, it smells better. We have to think in B2B in the same way. So far, we got away without having this commoditization of product.
Right.
But no more.
Yeah.
All our products are going to look the same, right?
It's consumerization of B2B in its true sense.
It's happening. It's true. Right. So how you differentiate, how you sell, how you create value. I think for the first time, B2B founders are creating a real business. Earlier, they were creating a product and somehow it sold because the buyers were also first-time buyers. They didn't know what they were. They got tricked into buying because you're a first-time buyer. Now buyers are so experienced, they always know more than salespeople. There is only competitive displacement. They have bought the same product 5 times and they've made mistakes. Now they know how to stay away from mistakes. Right? It's gotten very difficult to sell. It's gotten very difficult to differentiate. And this is where the true founders will get differentiated from flaky founders.
Right.
What I'm going to say is very controversial. People are going to hate it. Stop doing what you are doing before. That's not working.
I feel excited about what future has for us, and I think we live in times of opportunity.